what happens to their veterans.
Oh, I get that, but most of them aren't actually the one making the executive decisions.
Well, no, they're the ones that write the laws, and they're the ones that cut funding, and they're the ones that do all that kind of crap. They're the ones that support our veterans. But unfortunately, most of the people in Congress do not have family members in the military. That's the problem.
They can barely spell. And I
Yeah,
hate
they can barely spell
I mean,
military.
I hate to spout off, but it's just so irritating because as an elected
You
official...
like spying off.
But seriously, as an elected official, look, motherfuckers, you work for me. It's about time they realize that. They're like, oh no, well, I'm going to do this, and it's gonna gain me some money, and I'm gonna get some lobbyists. I'm maybe gonna get later, or whatever. It's like, no, you need to be doing what you're doing for the fucking people, for the best interest of the majority of the people, not just people you like, not just people you agree with, but everybody. And that's what's wrong with fucking government on state, local, every level.
So if you have comments and suggestions that you would like to make, we do have a open line, and we would love for you to call in and talk to us. And that phone number is 480-405-1465. Feel free to call in. All we ask is that you be polite. We don't care what side of what issue you take as long as you're not an asshole. If you're an asshole, we hang up on you, and then we make fun of you afterwards. So please feel free to call in, 480-405-1465. And let's discuss some of this stuff that's going on in our country. Let's make it important again. Wow. Okay, now I'm getting old because I totally forgot where I was going with that.
You were probably getting ready to mention who's going to be coming up on our next segment.
Okay, well, no.
Because she's very sexy.
Yeah, well, the problem...
She makes us want to sin.
She makes us want to sin. So, for those of you that are listening in, at the 7 o'clock hour, we will be joined by Chalice Blythe, who is the chair of the Satanic Temple Utah chapter.
Sweet irony. Just listen
and
to that.
Every time we
again.
see pictures of her, we want to sin. And we're going to have her explain that to us.
Satanic Temple, Utah. Sweet irony right there.
Yeah, pretty much. So
yeah.
It's like, oh my God, really? The Satanic Temple actually exists in Utah?
I mean, we live in
Arizona.
Well, we live near Mesa, which is very highly Mormon. populated, which is what Salt Lake is. So it's like, well, we're like a mini Salt Lake, and you guys are like the huger Salt Lake. And
the huger? Really? Is that like Bigley? And huge?
Don't even compare me to Trump right now.
Okay, so let's start looking at another idea here. One of the things we wanted to talk about was that tomorrow, here in Phoenix, Arizona,
this is awesome.
Is the every 2 years the Arizona Democratic Party and the Republican Party, Arizona Republican Party, Arizona Green Party, all of the different parties go through what's called a reorganization. And during that reorganization, our new elected officials for the party are chosen. In this case, for the Arizona, we have a chair, a first vice chair, a second vice chair, 3 female vice chairs, 3 male vice chairs, a secretary, a treasurer, an affirmative action coordinator, and an education coordinator, I think is what it's called. And you want to talk about bigger government? There we are. Why do we need 6 vice chairs that absolutely do fucking nothing except have a title of vice chairs? But anyway, that's totally it. One of the cool things is that tomorrow I'm going to be soliciting signatures from the state committee to form a new caucus in the Democratic Party in Arizona.
Wait for it. Fucking awesome. Drum roll. I can't do it.
Drum roll, really? Yeah, whatever. We are going to try to be the second state in the United States to have a secular caucus.
Fuck yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, the first state that had the first secular caucus was Utah. So they have the first secular Democratic caucus in Utah, and they have the first after-school Satan club
Do they
in
have
Utah.
the highest surfed repressed porn rate too?
No, I think that's Kentucky.
But I mean, seriously, it kind of begs the question.
No, I
Or
think
called the question.
well, no, that's a whole Robert's Rules thing. Don't go there.
Fuck you, Robert's Rules.
So anyway, now tomorrow we're going to be electing our new state chair.
Scott Pryor. No.
Please don't go there.
That's,
if somebody actually nominates me, you're going to hit the roof.
I know. I love you,
Wow.
and that's way too big of a bullet. So
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that bullet.
No, I don't want that bullet.
I
for
mean,
you either.
there are certain dreams that I have about being the state chair because I know exactly what needs to happen in Arizona to actually get people off their ass. But that's just me. So our current state chair is running for re-election, even though she said 2 years ago she was only going to run for one term. But apparently,
that's before she started making money.
Yeah, that's before her and her husband started making money off the state party. So the problems we have in Arizona right now, the Arizona Democratic Party has been sued by the executive director of the Arizona Democratic Party that was fired a couple of months ago.
Oh,
now, in the lawsuit, part of it had to do with contractual bonuses not paid, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that most people are glossing over is that she also charged the state chair with preferential treatment by giving her husband, who is partner in a firm that does consulting for political blah, 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 preferential treatment.
Oh, that's not a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Okay, so you have the chair who says she went through the proper channels. So my question is, what were the proper channels? Now, I deal with contractors and contracts and stuff every day. And I am required, depending on the dollar amount of the contract, to request open bids or open secret bids for services rendered. Okay, so say, for example, we're trying to get a new concrete pad put in for our roll-off dumpsters, which is actually correct and true. So I have to go out, and because the possibility of the contract is over a certain price range, in this case $2,500, I have to get at least three contractors to contribute bids, quotes, for that business. So the question is, did our chair, current chair, solicit multiple consulting companies to bid on the amount of money that was going to be given, or was there just her husband's company that was given the okay by the party because they didn't go outside to try to get any help? But the biggest thing is that politics is all about perception. So the perception is, among a lot of people, is that there was an ethical violation by the state chair who is making money. Her and her husband are making money off of the state party, which to me is a conflict of interest. We shouldn't have somebody in the chair position that is making money off of contracting to their own company. It's kind of like charter schools. Senator Yarbrough, who allegedly gets a shit ton of money for STOs and vouchers because he owns charter school stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, but I'm sure he recuses
Yeah, I'm sure
himself.
he removes himself from the vote and doesn't
ever.
sponsor new charter school whatever. So we're going to have an interesting day tomorrow at the state committee meeting. It's going to be a very long day. Now,
very long.
There's an up-and-coming new person who wants to challenge the state chair. And I had a chance to talk with her on the phone yesterday for a little while. And she is part of the Arizona Progressive Caucus.
Yay!
Which I am currently the co-chair of until the vote tomorrow, because I'm not going to rerun for the chair caucus because I'm working on the secular thing.
Hashtag bigger fish to fry. Stay tuned.
Yeah, pretty much. So she is wanting to run to give people a choice. And obviously there's a lot of problems in Arizona that are not being paid attention to. And she's wanting to come in and actually pay attention to those problems. So her name is Dr. Michelle Manos. And this morning, Progressive Voices of Arizona did publicly and officially announce our endorsement of her as candidate for the chair for the Arizona Democratic Party, because we believe that the chair needs to be as ethical as anyone else, and that a progressive way is better than a corporate way.
An actual progressive way, not just using progressive
Well,
as a buzzword, because that shit pisses me off. It's
and the
being
fact
besmirched.
that realistically, and it was pointed out on Facebook in a couple of posts today, that in 2012, Bill Rowe was the chair,
Ugh.
and Alexis was the vice chair. And in 2014, they flipped. So Alexis was the chair, and Bill Rowe was the vice chair.
And nothing fucking changed.
Nothing really changed. Although they're kind of touting, well, look, we had all these county people that got elected, blah, 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 which was actually Maricopa County that did all that.
Not
the
this
state party.
last time.
No, this time. Joe Arpairo's gone. We have a new county recorder, elections office, blah, blah, blah. So, but the state chair, the current state chair, is taking credit for all this shit. Which is like, really? You're going to go there? Because we were candidates and the state didn't do shit for us.
That's kind of like me taking credit for Bill Gates' fucking venture to Windows. It's complete and utter bullshit.
You did Windows? Oh my
I
God.
fucking did.
So tomorrow's going to be interesting, and I've actually thought about live streaming from the actual
Oh, God.
state committee meeting, but probably not, because I think they'd probably get pissed if I did that. So, so it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. It starts very early. The caucuses all meet between the hours of 8 and noon. The Progressive Caucus is from 10 to noon, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter to me, because once the election happens and the chairs are chosen, then I'm going to step out and let them deal with it, and I'm going to be like headed to the bar and putting down some whiskey. But yeah, so tomorrow Arizona's going to change. Well, some parts of Arizona are going to change. Whether or not it makes a difference, I don't know.
Whether or not it's for the better, depending on the change.
Yeah. Well, we can hope.
Well,
So, what do you think about that wall? Hey, Doug, what do you think about the wall?
Which one?
The one they're supposed to build with that 20% import tax on the border of Arizona, Texas, and California and Mexico.
That should make shit interesting.
Well, from what I understand, that there's an Indian tribe whose Indian nation is part of the border who's going to refuse to allow the federal government to build a wall on their land. So,
Yep.
Doesn't that kind of give the idea that, well, I've been to Nogales, and I can tell you there's walls and fences all the way across the border, and they don't stop people from running across it. And they don't stop the cartels from digging under it. So what good is spending billions of dollars to build a 2,000-mile-long wall when they'll be using catapults and trebuchets and everything else to fling drugs and people and everything over the wall?
I can top this with utter stupidosity, and that's the word I'm just coining right now. I actually saw a post from somebody saying, you know what, the United States is bordered not only by Mexico but by Canada. Are we going to build a wall against Canada? I feel like saying, do you know anybody from Canada that wants to come to the fucking U.S.? We are like a third world country compared to them. Seriously, but she said that. She actually said, well, are we going to try to keep all the Canadian immigrants out? And I'm thinking,
There
they
are no Canadian
wouldn't want to
immigrants.
fucking come here.
There are no Canadian immigrants.
But
there
I mean,
just aren't.
that's just the.
Why would they want to do that?
I mean, that just shows you just how fucking stupid people are. Yeah, there are more than one border, but why would somebody from Canada
It's like
want to come over here?
It's like high foot meet gun. Why? Because there's Canada actually has so much more in the way of actual. Number one, they don't allow fake news, which is creates an actual educated electorate.
And they don't have pharmaceutical commercials on their airwaves either.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Seriously, we're like the last fucking country. It was
No,
like,
we are the only country.
oh, America, make America
No
great
other
again.
country
Fuck
has
that.
ever had